Fuckers. Swear to Christ, man. What's up? How's everybody doing? Well, welcome into your TBC Weekly. Happy Sunday night to you. Thank you for joining us, or joining me anyways. Apparently Jeff and Shawn don't know what time it is. Their iPhones didn't update. They're the two iPhones that did not update with the time change, right? Everybody else knows it's fucking 7:30 Eastern. But hey, what's new? No, really, what's new? Because I don't even know. Today we're going to talk about we're going to go team wins according to Vegas, according to the sports books, for all the top 10 teams plus the cheaters, because they're not ranked in the top 10. So if Jeff and Shawn show up, it'd be a much easier show for me. But if they don't be surprised. Anyway, let's get into it. We do have some recruiting stuff. If you guys checked out the Daily Blitz this morning, this afternoon, whatever you want. Let's not put definitions on these things. So anyways, this afternoon when I got the Daily Blitz out to you, by the way, that was 30 minutes, 33 minutes, I think, actually, of deep recruiting talk. We went into every recruit that's coming on a visit to Columbus, and it's going to change. So imagine it's just going to grow. Say with me, that's what she said. So it's going to grow, and the official visits are even getting locked in already for summertime. June basically is official visit season. So you're going to see more and more people stacking up in those weekends of June, which probably is the best time of year to be in Columbus. What else? We got a couple crystal balls that came in. I mentioned that on today's Daily Blitz. We got Jamie French. We got what I'm calling Vermey 3 sticks. Vernell Brown III out of Orlando, the rare, super rare Orlando recruit that actually pans out. We'll see if it goes that way. So as you guys get in here in the chat, we will get to that. All your questions and comments, and we'll get to those things. I do want to pull up, we're going to talk team totals. If Shawn shows up tonight, that would be a bonus, but we'll find out. If he does show up, we're going to do a 3-round draft of the defense. Very possible he doesn't show up because, it's birthday month for Shawn. I don't know. Communication's not a strong suit. But anyways, we'll see. We'll get to that if Shawn shows up. And I'm going to get into the team totals. I do need to confirm that all these are up to date. And we can also use these team totals and the futures bets on who is going to make the playoffs. Not who's going to win it, but who's going to make the playoffs, because that's very different. I mean, with 12 teams, a lot of mediocre teams are going to slide in there, right? So, yeah, we'll see there. So yeah, I'm gonna bebop around here and keep it lively, keep it fresh. Hope you guys are checking out the BuckeyeCast.com, the video vault. I have a ton of stuff going up there today. Well, it is today. I have more videos that are going up. Let me just name off some of these people. You might have heard of them. Buckeye legends, I would call them. AJ Hawk, his highlights are going up. Andy Katzenmoyer, Antoine Winfield, even Bobby Carpenter, Chris Carter, David Boston, Devin Smith, Dustin Fox. That's just the D's. That's what she said. Mike Doss. Oh, Paris Campbell, almost forgot about him. Orlando Pace. All these videos are going up. Shawn Springs, Troy Smith. Yeah, Will Smith. Not the actor. By the way, how the fuck does he smack Chris Rock on stage and not get his ass kicked by somebody? How does Chris Rock not have somebody in his crew that is looking up Will Smith's address and beating the fuck out of him? I was not cool with that, whatever dumbass awards show that was. I don't think that's fair. Anyway, it'll come back around. It'll come back around. Maybe maybe Chris Rock is playing the long game, and he's setting some up for the future. But still waiting on Jeff and Shawn to join us. We'll see what happens. I'm not making any promises because I've been hurt before.
Bro, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just listening to you railing about Chris Rock.
Will Smith, but
Him
wrong
too.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
But
got some old time Buckeyes highlight tapes. AJ Hawk, Shawn Springs. That's worth watching, folks. That's
so
worth
many.
watching.
I got over 40 videos going up. Doss. People forget that Luke Fickell was a very good defensive lineman. I got his highlight tape going. And
him,
his
Vrabel,
buddy
Finkus,
Vrabel.
that was
I got them.
Who was the fourth? Who was the fourth, Joe, in that lineup with Finkel?
Finkus, Vrabel.
Fickell, Finkus, Vrabel. Who was the fourth? That inside. That Tim Anderson from Clyde? No.
Was he that old? I don't think he was that old.
Tim Anderson's my age. We played against him. So that would have been later 90s.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who the fourth would have been.
What about a Dexter Larimore?
I could go for that.
Yeah. anyways, mid-90s Buckeyes highlight tapes are worth watching. Sure.
Yeah. And even we've got highlights of players from every decade from the 60s on up. You know, we've got even Kenyon Rambo, right? Remember him? That's a throwback. That's a pull. Got his highlight tape. So check it out, folks. We'll see if Shawn shows up. He's known non-communicator and just doesn't show up when he doesn't feel like it. So I love that. And we're going to get into our team totals. But I got to find the team win totals. There we go. All right. And so we're going to use basically what ESPN has for their way too early top 25. We're just doing the top 10 plus the cheaters because they're not in the top 10. Just a little precursor to where they are ranked. And then if you want to talk returning production, we can, or we just look straight at the schedules. You know, Jeff, does returning production do much for you?
I'm more into future production.
Okay, but
yeah, I mean when you're trying to forecast,
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, when you're trying to forecast going ahead, yeah. No, knowing the guy's done it, proven production. it does make you feel a little bit better about what you can project, for sure.
What's that? I can't hear you.
All right. You can definitely feel better about what you're projecting or what you're expecting to happen once if you've already seen the player, have the production.
Right. And if you know how much of that team is coming back, whether it's offense, defense, or just the entire team, if you have a certain percentage idea, like Vatek has 86% of their production coming back. That tells you it's probably an older team, right?
Sure.
Very experienced.
Coaching staff and schemes, if those are the same, are a big factor in that as well.
Right. But this is just production, like on the field, games played, stats, all the shit, not really including coaching. So you got to keep that in mind. If there was a coaching change for a school, then yes, that's a huge factor, but you can't factor that into the production on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I was thinking more of like the win-loss totals for teams.
Oh,
Factoring that in.
All right.
But yes, I see what you're saying. I mean, you think everybody would improve from year to year. But
if the cheaters are graduating a ton of dudes, so their returning production is probably in the toilet, right?
Yeah.
And you would be right because they're 128th in the country. 36% returning production as a team, 24 on offense, yikes, and 47 on defense. Still not great. That's 109th on defense. So an example of what we're talking about.
Yeah. You say like Vatek's 86% returning. Well, what they have returning wasn't very good last year.
Yeah.
You would expect it to be improved, but not good, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think the cheaters are a perfect example of people of team we're aware of that had 44 seniors. This is what happens when you graduate 44 guys. You end up with 24% returning production on offense. I laugh because I care.
Right.
Is that what I'm supposed to say? Is that what I should say? Anyways, we're going to get to your questions and comments in the chat, so please pop in there. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday night. It's a beautiful night outside. Hope it's a beautiful night where you are. I watched golf all day, so it was a pleasant Sunday, and I think I nailed a couple bets. So win for the good guy. I'm going to go on and assume that Shawn's not showing up, even though he's never communicated anything to me. Color me not shocked. Anyway, so Jeff, it's going to be me and you here plugging along. You want to go by schedule, returning production? How do you want to look at these over-under team wins? How do you feel most comfortable?
Well, if we're trying to calculate over win totals, I'll use all of it to factor in. Obviously the returning production offensively and defensively will be a factor in my decision. But a lot of those teams, some of them I'm going to shoot from the hip on too, just a general feeling.
Mm-hmm.
My general knowledge of the top 10, typical programs.
Yeah, I can give you a broad overview about broads when it comes to these teams, who they lost, who they brought in, things like that, just from a general point of view. But, this is not, I'm not going to give you a fucking entire roster. So we're doing 10 teams plus the Weasels. So, all right, let's kick it off. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're going to hold off and do the 3-round draft on defense when Henry shows up, maybe in a couple of weeks. Who knows? well, maybe never. But we did the offense a few weeks ago. We'll see. It's easier with three people to do a defensive draft. So, all right, we'll start off with Georgia. Team totals, over-unders. I'm using betonline.ag, official, unofficial, not even recognizing the Buckeye cast, but we're using them as our numbers on the over-under wins. Georgia and Ohio State, both at 10.5. We'll start with Georgia. They got the juice on the equal juice, actually. -115 over-under. 10.5 wins for Georgia. So here's Georgia's schedule. I'll read it off to you, Jeff, and you let me know if you want any more information.
Okay, sounds good.
Started off August 31st. Boom. I love it. I love an August football game. Clemson. That is a neutral site. I believe that's in Atlanta. So it's kind of a home game for Georgia, right? Got Clemson, then Tennessee Tech. Hopefully they can heal up after that Clemson game. Then at Kentucky, at Bama, then home against Auburn, home against Mississippi State, at Texas, yes, the University of, then home against Florida, then at Ole Miss, then home against Tennessee, then home against that powerhouse UMass, and then home against the other powerhouse, Georgia Tech. What do you think on that 10.5?
I mean, you see a couple potential, some tough games. I'm going to go over.
All right.
I'm going to go 11 and probably 11-1. So yeah, I'll take the over on 10.5.
Okay. And they got a returning quarterback. They did lose some offensive production with, what's his name? Lad McMonkey.
McConkey, Bowers. They lost another receiver. They lost a lineman. Potential first-round guy was injured some, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think they're still better than everybody else in that league. And they usually show it. So we'll go.
And you think
we'll go over.
losing Saban has to help, right?
Sure. But Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss. I mean, I think Ole Miss is going to be competition, but Georgia, they step up and play and they win those games. They don't, they don't have the lay down games.
Right. Yeah, it's rare. I mean, do you see a loss on the schedule? If so,
11-1.
Texas.
I'm just thinking they're going to be 11-1 end of the regular season. Where exactly that goes could be an Ole Miss, could be Texas. I don't think it'll be some upset game, I don't think Tennessee's there yet. I don't think they're able to really compete yet.
Yeah.
I would say probably maybe from the Ole Miss or the Texas games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously they make the playoffs. They probably get a first round bye, but yeah, I agree with you. Over on the 10.5, I think that's a safe bet for the Bulldoggers. Okay, then let's go Buckeyes, 10.5, same deal. The juice is a little different. It's probably changed a little bit, but the over is actually a -150. The under is a +120. Tells you where the money's coming in and also tells you where Vegas is thinking. What do you think for the Buckeyes?
Over.
Okay.
Over. I think it's pretty simple. What do we talk about every week? We're fucking loaded. Yeah. Depth. We have the depth. I think we have everything. I think we have an improved offensive line play. I think we're gonna have improved quarterback play. I don't see us falling off. Our schedule is dog shit, man. We talked about Michigan's schedule last year. Ours is about like that. I feel. I mean, it's about on that same
Hmm.
level.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Well,
over.
we
I'll take
got,
over for sure.
okay. We got Akron. We got Western Michigan. We got
Uh-huh.
Marshall.
Uh-huh.
We're playing a game in Marshalls. Is that in a mall? Is that the Marshalls at the mall? Because I like our chances there. Um, but no, you got at Oregon, October 12th. That's the big tester, but that's freaking week 6 after you've worked out a lot of kinks, I would hope.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
then you got at Penn State. I love how they're probably going to make that a night game, even though Penn State never plays a night game in Columbus for some reason. But anyways, got that game. And then you got the cheaters coming to town. Those are the 3 big ones on the schedule. I think we definitely win 11
Yeah.
without much of a problem.
I, that game going out to Eugene, week 6, you
Mm.
said
Mm.
that's a top 3 or 4 game on the college football schedule for the season. That
Oh
is must
yeah,
see
it's going
TV
to be one,
because
two, or 2 versus
yeah,
3, something like that.
yeah, both of us in the top 4. I'm guessing at that time. I don't know. I don't
Mm.
know for sure what Oregon's first 3 or 4 games is, but I would expect them to still be undefeated. Yeah, I don't know however it lines up. Whoever if anybody loses, Texas or Georgia, early in the year, or whatever, or Georgia Clemson, um, you know, but yeah, top 5 matchup for sure. Highly
Well,
anticipated.
not to jump too far ahead, but you could easily see this Oregon team being our opponent in the Big Ten championship game, looking at their schedule. You
Yeah,
got they play nobody until the Buckeye game. Then they play at Michigan. I'm not too concerned for them. And then they have Washington at home. They do play at Wisconsin. Who knows what Wisconsin's going to be, even though that's in November. I don't think the weather is going to matter for an Oregon team. Um, so really, as far as ranked teams go, you only got like 2 or 3 on the schedule. So, all right. Next up is Oregon. Boom. They are coming in at, I gotta move my shit around here. Oregon is also at 10.5 wins, minus 135 on the under. The under. Juices on the under. The over is plus 105. So you can see what people are thinking there. Now we just ran
yeah,
through their schedule. I'll do it again. Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, at UCLA, a chipless UCLA, then home against Michigan State, home against the Buckeyes, at Purdue. Sorry to drag your fucking asses to the middle of Indiana in October, but it's the way it's got to be. Then home against Illinois. Yes, the Fighting Illini are coming to Oregon. So many weird visions in my head right now. Then they go to Michigan to start off November, home against Maryland, then at Wisconsin, then home against the Huskies to finish off the season October or November 30th. Wow, really stretching it out. So, what do you think for the Ducks? You got an over under on 10.5. What do you think?
I'm gonna go. Um, that trip to Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't have much, but playing at Madison, if that's a night game at Michigan, Washington coming back. I mean, they're more talented than everybody on their schedule, just like us in Georgia. Um, you said that they're at 10.5 as well. I'm gonna go under. I am gonna go. I'm thinking 10-2. So I'll take the under.
You think a loss to the Buckeyes and who else?
Yeah, I think we
Michigan,
get them.
Wisconsin, Washington.
I think it's any of those 3.
Washington's
You
going
know,
through a huge coaching change here with Jed Fisherman coming
sure.
in.
You- and I'm guessing they probably get that rematch. I mean, they probably win this year. The trip to Michigan, us at home, trip to Wisconsin. There's not much else, but Oregon's been known to get upset maybe by an Oregon State or they've had a slip up here and there. They're going over a new quarterback.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Gabriel's supposed to be, Gabriel's a good quarterback. It's not like they're falling off much, but he's not
Eh.
27-year-old Bo Nix that's, been there
Oh,
forever.
don't give me the Bo Nix.
So I'm gonna go. I'm
They
gonna go. I'm gonna go 10-2. So I'm gonna take the under on 10.5.
they do have the rivalry game week 3, which is odd against Oregon State.
They had to shoehorn it in there. I'm glad they're still playing it, but it's
Yeah,
so
not in the
yeah.
same
We'll go
conference
under.
anymore.
There's not gonna be too many teams 11-1.
I'm with you there too. I'm not sure Dylan Gabriel is like the best quarterback ever. I think he gets a lot of credit because he's played at like 5 schools. Um, I think he was still at UCF when I moved away from Orlando 8 years ago. But anyway, I think at Wisconsin is a challenge. Buckeyes coming in are a big deal. And I could even see them dropping to Washington, honestly, even with the coaching change. Yeah, I don't think they have the team they had last year. So I agree with you on the under there. All right, let's go to this great big giant state of Texas. So Texas is at 10.5 wins as well. The juice on the over is -105. The under is -125. So people leaning towards the under slightly. They got to go to Michigan, the cheaters. They got to go to that Ann Arbor is a whore week 2. Week 2. Now you do have a returning Quinn Ewers, of course. Then you got Texas here for week 6, I believe. They are at home against Oklahoma. That's not a home game. Then you got right back to back, though. This is the kicker. You got Oklahoma, then Georgia back to back. Now, both are in the state of Texas. Oklahoma is obviously at the state fair, but then Georgia is in Austin. That's a tough one, man. How do you see that going?
I mean, it could be Georgia's only loss or one of Texas's 2 losses.
Mm.
I mean, so I mean, it's probably at that. I'm guessing a night game also, or maybe
You got
the
to think
3:30.
so. Yeah.
But it's gonna be that's gonna be a huge game. That's Texas, Georgia at Texas, Ohio State at Oregon. I mean, those are the blue chip games of the year.
Yeah. I wonder
Uh
which network gets that, if it's Fox or ESPN.
ESPN will definitely have the SEC.
Because it's a home game for them. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's Texas and Georgia. I mean that's ESPN for sure.
Ah, damn
That,
it. I keep forgetting fucking
yeah,
son
not
of the Big
CBS
12
is
games.
3:30. Yeah,
Rats.
that's definitely Herbie. That's Herbie and Fowler for sure. Um, so you said that they're at 10, you said?
10.5.
Texas was
Yeah.
at 10, Texas 10.5 as well. Hmm.
I
Yeah,
got
under. I'm gonna
easily
go under.
one loss here.
I'm going under.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's a tough schedule. I'll go under ten
Yeah.
and
I wish
two.
I wish I could argue with you on some of these, but it seems pretty clear when you're playing the cheaters on a down year, but you have to go to Ann Arbor and you go at Oklahoma and Georgia back to back. Florida doesn't concern me. Arkansas, Kentucky. Then you have to go to Texas A&M to finish your season. Now, say what you want about Texas A&M, and we've said a lot about them over the years. But to finish the season at Texas A&M, that's a little bit concerning, I would say.
Yeah, that's just it's a tough schedule. I mean, you know they're missing some weapons. They recruited well. I mean, they got depth and stuff, but
Mhm.
they've lost some receivers.
Yeah,
You know, ah, yeah, you gotta go under. Gotta go under.
I agree. I'm going to try and argue with you at some point, but it's been tough so far. You're using too much logic and reason. Uh, wish I was talking to my wife.
Mm.
Boom. Yeah, below the belt. All right. Next up, Notre Dame, our fifth ranked team, over under 9.5. Now, I got to tell you, so Notre Dame was the last school for the books to release their over unders. I think they were still settling their schedule for the season for whatever reason. And I pegged it at 9.5. And God damn it if I didn't nail it. 9.5 over under. So we've got our top tier, our four teams of 10.5, right? So now is when we take a step down to 9.5, our 9.5 group. So you got Notre Dame, the Domers, minus 135 on the over, plus 105 on the under. So you can see where the favor is there. God damn it. Here's their schedule. At Texas A&M to start off the season. Okay, probably not a big challenge. Got a new coach. A lot of talent has left. Then Northern Illinois, at Purdue, home against Miami of Ohio, home against Louisville, home against Stanford, home against G-Tech. What the hell? These guys only play 3 away games, man, for the year. Look at this, Jeff.
No,
Listen to this.
no neutral sites.
Oh, shit. I don't think so. I got to double check. Okay. Georgia Tech is in Atlanta. Okay. BFD. They're from Atlanta. The Navy game is at MetLife Stadium. So is that Philly? Is that right?
MetLife? No, that's Giants.
New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah,
Still not a home game for anybody. Then Yankee Stadium is the Army game.
Ugh.
This schedule is straight up trash, man. Where is the BCS when we need it? Because these guys will be filtered out of the top 10 quickly. They go at Texas A&M, home against Northern Illinois, at freaking Purdue, home against Miami of Ohio, home against Louisville, home against Stanford, home against Georgia Tech, or we call that a neutral site technically. Home against Navy, that's not a neutral as far as I know. Then home against Florida State. Okay, an actual opponent with a pulse comes into town. Home against Virginia. Then we just talked about the Army game in a baseball stadium, which if you've listened to the show for more than 6 weeks, you know that I hate football games in a baseball stadium, especially those with a short porch.
Yes, that's a very small baseball stadium.
You might as well put it in Fenway, for fuck's sake. And then they go to USC to finish up the season. 9.5, Jeff. How do they not go over the 9.5?
I will take. I'm taking the over. I'm looking at maybe a 10, probably 10-2 is what I'm seeing, or I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I'll go over. I'll go over the 9.5 for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think you have to. This is a garbage schedule. I can't wait till the strength of schedule numbers come out from Phil Steele. They're going to get buried. All right, next up, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin University, over under 9.5 as well. We got pretty much everybody from here on out is 9.5. The juice right now is over minus 145. So kind of a heavy juice on the over for Ole Miss. Under is plus 115. I should probably pull up their fucking schedule here. Bear with me. Again, it looks like Shawn's not showing up. Maybe I should fire him from the show. No, I'm serious. I mean, if you're not going to tell somebody you're not going to show up, a no call, no show, you typically get fired for that. Anyways, Ole Miss. Oh, this is a cupcake schedule too. Ooh. All right. They got Furman, MTSU, whatever that is. Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi State. 9.5. What do you think?
Under.
You got Jackson Card returning, right? Jackson Dart, whatever his name is.
Jackson Dart.
Dark
Under.
card.
I could see a 9-3 Ole Miss team.
Mm. Wow. Who do you have them losing to? Oklahoma, Georgia,
I mean, a South
Cox,
Carolina game. South
LSU?
Carolina's going to be better. There's Georgia's in there,
Yeah.
LSU.
Yeah.
Um, LSU's. I mean, Kelly's he's got a quarterback coming in.
Mhm.
Probably not Heisman worthy, but LSU's going to be they're going to be a tough out. There's enough tough games, and it's still Ole Miss. It's
Yeah.
they don't have the depth. If they get an injury somewhere, they're still lagging behind the very top of that conference. So
They lost a
I'll go
running back,
under.
I hear,
Yeah, led the league in rushing a couple times, I think.
2 years in a row, right?
Yeah. 9-3. I don't think they're going to fall off or have really a down year, but that the conference is tough. You know.
I've heard that. I've heard that the SEC can be difficult.
Yeah. So I'll go under.
All right, I'm with you there. Can't argue with that. They really need a big win, I'm talking a program setting win over like an Oklahoma or an LSU, one of those that really would put them over the top to a 10 plus win season. I don't think Lane Kiffin has it in him. I don't think he has the stomach for it. Joey Freshwater. All right, Missouri, the Tigers of Missouri. Last time we saw them, they were filleting our fucking quarterbacks. Okay, 9.5 here as well. Under is minus 170, Jeff. The over is plus 140. That's
Wow.
pretty heavy. You don't see that very often. So that tells you they lost some either players or coaches that are worth a shit, right? They lost
Yeah.
something. I can't tell you what
What
it
what
is, and I
what's their
don't.
what about that percentage of production, Joe?
Oh, I can find that for you.
Because
Uh,
I know the running back's gone. He was a lot of their offense.
yeah, let me pull that up real quick. Missouri loves company. All right, they're 31st in the country. Not terrible. 68% as a team, 79% on offense, 58% on defense returning. So not bad. They're 16th in the country on offense.
Okay.
So I don't think that's the issue. Seems like maybe the defense, if anything, would be the production issue. I think they lost a coach. Didn't they lose offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator? Could have swore somebody
Ooh.
snatched up one of their coordinators, but I can't
You
say
know
for
what?
sure.
I can't say.
So they're tough games. Well, let's just run through the schedule quickly. Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, Vanderbilt, at Texas A&M, at UMass, Auburn, at Alabama, Oklahoma, at the Cox, at Mississippi State, and then Arkansas. So you got Bama and Oklahoma again. These back-to-back games against Oklahoma seem to be a nut cruncher. And you don't know what to expect from A&M this year. Mike
Yeah.
Elko seems to know what he's doing on offense, but uh,
Who, who's
you
their
got to see
quarterback?
it. I don't know, man.
I don't even know. I mean, they've had a lot of 5 stars the last couple of years. How many are still
Yeah.
there? I know their best receivers was gone. I don't. Texas A&M is one team that I can't remember who's there, who's not there. I have no idea who their
Yeah.
quarterback is.
A lot of roster shuffling, I would say.
Yeah. So who knows? Ooh,
Max Johnson, I think, would be their go-to guy at quarterback. They
he
got a
is still
bunch of
there.
dudes
Okay.
on the roster. Connor Wigman is still there, so it could be between those two guys, I would assume.
Okay.
Max Johnson's a sophomore, Wegman's a sophomore. So yeah, let them battle it out and see which one throws fewer interceptions. It's probably the plan.
Right.
So
Um. What? And you said they're nine and a
nine and a
half.
half. Yeah, everybody's a 9.5 from here on out.
Yeah. How much does that bowl game really like springboard them forward?
Mm.
How'd they end up in the recruiting class this year off that momentum doesn't really isn't going to factor too much into that win loss.
Yeah.
I'll go under. I'm gonna go under.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
maybe
leaning
probably
in
right
that
at
direction
9.
too. Yeah. I don't.
I could see the SEC having 5 or 6 9-3 teams
Yeah.
potentially.
Right. Then you have to, if you're the playoff committee, you got to figure out which one of these assholes do you leave out from the playoffs.
Oh, yeah,
Do you
who has a
get
good loss? Who's got the good
yeah,
loss?
exactly.
That's what.
Let's figure out the best 3 9-3 teams.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. I'm going under 2. I think Bama and Oklahoma back to back. And then don't forget about South Carolina. They're coming around. Their defense is getting better. I don't know about their offense so much, but I think those 3 games back to back, plus Auburn before that, they're getting better. They've used the portal a lot. And our guy has used his burner phone a lot to keep himself relaxed. So yeah, I'm going under 2 for Missouri. I think it's an 8-4 kind of season for them, just off the 9 wins. Next up, let's go Penn State, 9.5. The over is at -135. The under is +105. So people thinking highly of the Knits, thinking they're going to go over. They got at West Virginia, then they got Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois, UCLA, at USC. That'll be a hell of a visual. Then at Wisconsin, then the Buckeyes come to town to smash all your hopes and dreams. And then you got Washington at home, at Purdue, at Minnesota, and then Maryland, where James Franklin always loves to crush the Terps. Where it's boot. So what do you think?
Okay, you said at USC.
Yep, right before at Wisconsin.
Oh, back to back, Madison and Southern Cal. Okay.
Then the Buckeyes come to town right after that. Then Washington comes to town right after us. That's a nice little 4-week stretch.
Yeah, that's a good stretch right there.
They don't have the cheaters. Please note, they do not have the cheaters on their schedule anymore, which was standard.
No. How much of a leap do you think Drew Aller takes? They're gonna be able to open that offense up. Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot. Yeah, there's a momentum. 9.5.
If USC can bring a defense, if
That's a
we'll
big if,
we'll know by week 6 if USC
That's
has a defense that's legit or not. I know it's a big fucking if, but if Lincoln Riley is serious, fired his staff, Alex Grinch, the best defensive coach to ever be fired multiple times. We'll see.
Yeah. You said are they at Washington? Talent. Joe, at Washington?
No, that's in Happy Valley
they
right after us.
Yeah. I'm going 9-3. We're gonna go under. I'm gonna say
under. Yeah. Me too.
Maybe an 8-4.
Dude.
But they're gonna be a tough team. I think they're gonna be a quality win for teams.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not putting faith in Drew Aller in that offensive scheme.
Yeah. They do have a lot of production returning on offense, obviously, with Drew Aller and the rest of the guys. But on defense, 66%. They're 23rd overall. So that's good for them. But I think the schedule is going to be a new kind of monster they're not used to. When you got a legit offense coming in with USC, Wisconsin is going to be, I have to assume Luke is going to get that team evened out. So it's a tough offense and defense, whether they have to go to the portal or whatever. Then you got the Buckeyes and the Huskies back to back, the Buskies. You don't want a piece of the Buskies, right?
No.
Yeah, we all know that. That could be it. That could be another 8-4 team. Honestly, the more I look at this.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on the under. All right, next up, number 9, Alabama, still in the top 10, even with Nick Saban retiring. fascinating to me. All right. Again, another 9.5. The under is at -140. The over is at +110. What do you think of that?
I think it goes right along about the same thought process that I got. I'm going under.
Okay, I got Western KY. I assume that's not the jelly. South Florida at Wisconsin, then home against Georgia at Vandy, then the Cox, then at Tennessee. That could be a ball game. Then home against Missouri, at LSU, then Mercer, of course. But the Mercer game is not actually a precursor to the Iron Bowl. You got to go to Oklahoma before you play Auburn. So
Yeah,
boom,
a
that
nice
that the
change up in that
FCS
schedule this
team,
year. Yeah.
FCS team didn't work out in your favor as much. They do break up the LSU and Oklahoma game, so get a little recovery action there.
Yeah, but that stretch of LSU, Tennessee, LSU, Missouri,
Mhm.
and okay, then
Oklahoma,
Mercer,
Auburn.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Mercer, then
Oh, and
Oklahoma,
then you
then
got
Auburn.
Georgia and Wisconsin in the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Don't
going
forget
to
about
Madison, right?
Western KY.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going definitely under. I'm not going to predict the number to that, but I will say 9 or less for sure.
Yeah, I think you got to go under here. I think that's why the juice is so heavy on the under for Bama. All right, Utah. Now, you never know what the fuck to do with Utah. You know, they're a little sneaky team out there in the mountains. They keep all their secrets to themselves. They don't tell you when the quarterback's not going to play for an entire season, right? With Cam Rising. He magically was supposed to come back by week 1. No, never showed up. So, anyways, they're a 9.5. The under is at -135. The over is +105. So you're looking at I think, a pretty easy schedule here. I realize, they're not the top of the college football conferences here, but you got a Southern Utah, Baylor, Utah State, Oklahoma State with the Pokes, Arizona State, TCU, Houston, BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, UCF. Right? I mean, this is your Big 12 schedule buffet, right?
Yeah, new conference, but a lot of those it's the same time zone, same general area. So they're not. It's not like a USC or an Oregon having to travel up to the East Coast and a lot of that stuff that's new to you.
They played a lot
There's
of
that.
these teams before, right?
Yeah, they just got to travel slightly southeast,
Yeah.
or south. Um, 9.5 though for Utah.
I can't
Yeah,
call
yeah,
them. I
yeah.
can't call them.
I'll go over. I'll give them an over. I'll give them over.
Do you think they beat Colorado at Colorado?
Yeah, I think they
Mm.
will. I think they're a better team.
In your face, Dion. Eat it, Prime. I agree. I think the challenges will be at Oklahoma State. I don't think the Arizona schools will be a challenge. I don't care where they're played. Iowa State, even though it's at home in Utah, that's going to be a ball game. And going to Orlando Community College will be a tough game as well, right?
Yeah. I tell you what though, UCF has a good environment in that stadium.
Yeah,
They're loud. I mean, it's not very big, but it's loud. It's loud. I mean, it's all metal. That thing shakes.
it's a fresh.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a tough environment. UCF's getting better.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think that could be. They might look at it. They might look at that as a quality win this year for Utah, or one of
Hmm.
those two losses. But yeah, I think they're over. I think they're over the 9.5.
Very weird to say that they're in the same conference
It
as
is.
Houston, Iowa State.
Arizona State.
Fuck. This is the world we live in.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
So let's finish it up here. We got that was our top 10. All right. Now, with any poll, if you don't acknowledge the cheaters, then you're not doing it right. Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Embrace the
And
hate. We got to talk about them.
right. So they're ranked 13th in this way too early ESPN bullshit, but they're at over under 9.5. The under has the juice, minus 125. The over almost similar at minus 105. And like I mentioned before, they are 128th in returning production. So what happens when you just work on the portal and don't recruit for shit. So let me rattle through their schedule here real quick. Fresno State, Texas comes to town for a nice punch in the throat. Arkansas State, USC comes to town to stomp all over your grave. Minnesota at Washington, the Huskies will be happy to tear a leg off. At Illinois, Sparty at home will be a battle. That's not a gimme. Then the Ducks come to Ann Arbor to drop a dump all over your shithole stadium. Then at Indiana, then Northwestern comes to town because they don't have a stadium. And then the Buckeyes, you come to Columbus for your beating that has been years in the making. How do you feel about 9-3 there, Jeff?
We're going under.
I say heavy under.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to predict the number for them, but I don't think they get the 9. They very well could not get to 8.
I got 7-5 written in pencil right now.
I mean, any logical fan that knows that schedule could not argue too much that they could easily see a 7-5. You can make a 7-5. Now they could do a 9-3. I don't, all goes well. Their quarterback is legit. That kind of stuff. You could see a 9-3, but yeah, you could also see a 6-6, 7-5.
Yeah. I see
Anyways,
Texas,
we're
USC.
Gonna if it's 9 or under, we're gonna win the bet. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. Texas, USC, Washington, Oregon, and Ohio State. Those are all losses. Easily. I mean, those games could all be more than a touchdown spread in favor of the opponent.
Yeah. I mean, their defense is still gonna be good. They could win some of those ugly games too. I wouldn't be surprised to see them. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win some 16-10 games, 24-17 games, that kind of stuff.
If they can score 16, that's the challenge.
We'll see. I mean, maybe they might be looking in the portal after the spring at another quarterback. Orgy might not be all he's cracked up to be.
Well, yeah, it's rare that an orgy really plays out the way you think it will. Things always get messier than you expect. They got a 7th year out of what's his name? Who's that quarterback that has been around the world? Was Jack Tuttle? Yeah, Jack Tuttle. He's got a 7th year. So there you go.
Wow.
I didn't know.
I didn't even know he was on their roster.
And they brought in some other dude. I saw a transfer. I don't remember who he was. He's played like very little football at a very little college. So we'll see what happens. Okay, any other schools you want me to touch on here before we get into the chat?
I mean, we can talk about maybe some of our teams to look out for later in the year. We can save that for the summertime. Okay. But I think we're good with just the top 10 and the assholes up north.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, let's check out the chat, see what the hell is going on. Looks like it's a lively Odysseus and Billy heavy show. You guys should take over. All right, let's get into it. Billy's first one in, he says, howdy, Joe, bro, and Shawn. Yeah. Let me scratch Shawn off of that. Odysseus says OH and then nuts, nuts, nuts. Billy says IO, can't figure out how to download a Buckeye emoji. I don't know. I would say call Google. They could help you with that. Billy says it's hard to find good help, Joe. LOL. Yes, you're telling me about it, man. Mike says, hey, everyone, this time change sucks. Yeah. Micah reminds me that I should remind you guys, we are only 4 subscribers away from 3,000. So when that happens, I'm going to bake a cake and probably blow out my own candles. So where can I get 3,000 candles, by the way? Don Warwick
Amazon.
is in here. He says, hi, Joe. Hi, Jeff. Good to see
What's up,
you,
Pop?
sir. Odysseus says, Finkus. Yeah, I think we got to the Finkus part of that rotation. It was, Odysseus says Anderson was 0-2. Tim Anderson.
No. Oh, was it that late? Maybe 02 maybe it was a 5th year. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look when the show's over. I'm gonna have to find out who was at 4th, because that defense was loaded.
Well, what year would that have been? Like mid-90s?
90, what 95, 96? 90, yeah, I believe.
Okay. So that makes sense why Tim Anderson was a part of it. 1995 roster. I got it right here. Those are ads I should not be seeing. D-line. Where's D-line? You guys have to be in the 90s, yeah. Okay, you got Vrabel, Finkus. I got a Jeff Wilson, Jim Bell, Tony Eisenhart. He was on that team.
Oh yeah,
Tiffin, Ohio.
Tony he was in a rotation, but he didn't lead. He wasn't a starter all the time.
Yeah. 6'7", 265.
I hung out with him down there. That's who I got in the frat houses with.
Yeah.
Good time. That was a hell of a night we had. That was a night I met Big Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as
we'll share that story later, some other time.
all right. As far as defensive ends, though, I'm not finding
the tackle. The other tackle was Fickle.
Oh, well, Fickle wasn't a tackle; he was an end, right?
No. Finkus and Vrabel were on the edge.
All right, well, I got Fickle listed here as a defensive end and a nose guard. So I got a John Day. I got LaShawn Daniels. He played nose guard and offensive guard. Jim Bell, Vrabel, Finkus, Jeff Wilson as an end. Shane Clark. Do I hear Shane Clark?
Yeah, I'm stumped. I don't. I mean, to be honest, it could have been those guys. I mean, very few of those names sounded, registered familiar. But
all right. Well, we'll figure it out someday. All right, back to the chat here. Let's keep it going. Jeff, I'll let you know when I need you to chime in. Odysseus says the cheaters are low on returning production and coaches retained. Excellent point. Jeff, did you hear that Mike Hart is totally out this year?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of his health issues. I guess he missed several games last year due to health concerns.
Yeah, I remember he had an issue on the sideline.
I remembered hearing it, but just when I heard the news of him leaving, I instantly thought he went with Harbaugh. And I wondered why it took so long after Harbaugh took that job that he got him. But I guess he's just stepping away for health reasons. And then I remembered I was golfing with 2 Michigan fans today, and they reminded me that he had some episodes like almost like stroke type stuff.
Yeah. So,
but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He
Billy
he's
says,
big too. He's big Michigan man that, and he's probably going to affect some on the recruiting trail as well. Um, I'm sure he was a key recruiter, similar to like our Hartline and Laurinaitis of former players,
sure.
uh,
Yeah. If you
younger.
can't coach, at least be a former player, right?
That helps.
So Billy says, I feel bad for that team up there. Odysseus says, I don't think they still need to be hammered by SMU style. Okay. So Odysseus is pulling back on the stick, saying he doesn't think that they still need to be hammered like SMU. Okay. Having a little softness, okay, towards the cheaters. I'm not. Billy says I'd be more than okay with that. Odysseus over for Georgia. Okay. Getting it over here for Georgia, Jeff. Um, Billy says with Clemson, Bama, and Texas, I don't see it. I'm with you there, Billy. Um, Billy says, wish we got to play UMass before the game. Yeah.
Well,
Just what do you think, Jeff?
I'm, I don't know. I'm just chiming in on Georgia. I think, yeah, Georgia over 10 and a half. Yeah. Michigan way under 9.5. Yeah. Uh, I don't know that. I mean, regardless of what Michigan, what the NCAA chooses, or even if they even decide anything, they're going to hope it probably just fades away, wrap them with like reduction and scholarships, and kind of just trim the fat in every little person, every little angle. They're not vacating wins or the title for sure.
Hmm. Right.
But I don't give a
Uh,
shit. I want them at their very best when they come into Columbus at the end of the year.
yep.
You know,
Right. Billy says, wish we got to play UMass before the game. Yes. Odysseus says, over for the Buckeyes. We're running the table. I love the confidence.
we've had undefeated regular seasons with less. You know,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I don't
Right.
see anybody on our schedule that I don't see a two losses for sure. Uh, and major injuries at the worst times would have to be a major factor, I believe, for us
Hmm.
to drop.
Right. Billy says 100% over for the Buckeyes. Billy says with 3 cupcakes to start the season, we should be able to get deep into our rotations, which will pay dividends later on. Yeah. If anybody is, I've been hammering this point on like every show I've been on. If anybody is a serious contender in the 12-team playoff, you have to be playing everybody. I'm talking almost down to your 85th guy on the roster. You need to rest your starters when possible. You're looking at if so, like for example, I did a study, which is to say that I looked up some stats. Uh, Offensive linemen that played every down, Josh Simmons, Donovan Jackson, they played 825 snaps last year, Jeff, in just 13 games. So if you factor
Yeah,
that out and you multiply that by 16 games, which is what it's going to take, you're going to play these guys over 1,000 snaps. So that means basically every position is going to play 1,000 snaps, especially on the lineman, offense, defense.
yeah. So I mean, we definitely have to get younger players, developed, get them into game reps. But at the same time, too, also you're keeping you're still recruiting these guys, all these freshmen and these guys maybe redshirted last year that are highly sought after. You got to keep them in. You got to keep them in it,
Yeah.
because you're you know lack of playing time to somebody that is young, that means people are going to come calling. There's going to be back channeling. Hey, we see you're not playing too much up there in Columbus. Get down here. Get out here. We got a spot for you. You'll get, it, that's just as important as getting them reps for potential depth as the season goes later. I mean, you need to do the same thing, and it's going to take care of two different major issues for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, get depth. I mean, if we're up 3 scores, second half, rotate guys in. You don't have to change out your whole first team for the whole second team. It doesn't need to be wholesale changes where the backup quarterback comes in with a backup lineman.
I
Um,
think I think you could
but
take
you
it a
gotta
step further, Jeff. In
spell. You
the
got to spell
first
guys.
3 games, you could play your second team in the second quarter
Sure.
in these 3 garbage non-con games
Yeah,
and
and,
some of
and
the
keep
Big
your
Ten games.
have your starters come back out in the third.
Yeah.
Start the second half, and see how in game flow. Obviously, I mean, if we come out and we're looking crisp and we're going right down the field, score, we're stopping them. They're punting. Yeah, just start rotating guys in. Or however it works. If you think the 3 linemen, all the second team linemen should all stay together, well then keep your first team receivers and quarterback and skill guys
Mhm.
and just run the second 5 out there, so they
Right.
get the continuity of playing together. And for a series, then go back to your starters. You're keeping your guys, your starters in the game and getting them their reps, but you're right. It doesn't always have to be just mop up duty because then you're eating clock and you're not running the full offense.
Right.
You're just trying to kill the clock, run the ball short, nothing, don't gamble. So
Also, keep in
yeah,
mind the
mix them in as it
temperatures
goes.
in September are obviously going to be the warmest of the football season. That's when I think your guys need the most rest, right?
Cramps, yeah, hamstrings,
Yeah.
stuff like
Bend your
that,
knees,
stretching.
get some water, hydrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Odysseus says, I believe he's talking about the Ducks. Welcome to the Big Ten. Doug says, hey, folks. Everybody says, hey, Doug. Doug says, Gabriel takes way too many chances. Yes, I'm not a Dylan Gabriel fan. You notice that Oklahoma showed him the door with another season of eligibility. Why is that?
Well, I mean, they got a guy coming in. They do, a young kid that they need to play because they'll lose the young kid if they would have kept Dylan.
That's fine.
Um, I
There's a reason why he hasn't stuck at a school as well.
Yeah, I don't know anything personally about the kid. He probably got a big offer, to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
For people to think that there isn't tampering, there's tampering. Teams probably started reaching out to him, but he was sought after. He was
Yeah,
probably ranked, I think, in the portal. He was ranked ahead of Will Howard as
definitely.
far
Yeah.
as an
Whatever that
option. But I don't.
means. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't fit every school. Like not every quarterback works for like he doesn't work at Ohio State, you know. But Billy says agree he can choke in big money situations. Yes, I agree with that. Odysseus says under for the Longhorns at 10-2. Yeah. Um, Billy says agree, not high as the rest of the world on Ewers. I got no issue with that. Jeff, you agree? I assume.
I mean, I went under with the win
Yeah,
total.
right. But as far as Quinn Ewers specifically,
I think he's going to be probably one of the better quarterbacks in college football.
hmm,
But he's got to stay healthy. One, um,
he needs receivers.
yeah, I mean he lost 2 really good ones.
Yep.
But they got guys. They got guys.
Mhm.
They got in the portal as well. They hopped on that feasting of Bama's class.
Yeah.
Um, probably not to the extent we did with the top level guys, but they got some
Right.
pieces as well. So but I would see 10-2. I mean, Ewers putting up big numbers. How he does in those big games, he'll be in the Heisman talk until he proves he shouldn't be. which
And
could very well
that'll
happen.
happen. I think that'll happen
But
eventually.
he'll be in it. I mean, they're gonna know real quick going to Michigan. Um, Going up there, that's gonna be, Michigan's defense obviously will be carrying their offense. So
Mhm.
what he's able to do up there in their shithole, uh, at the beginning of the season, that's gonna go a long way.
Yeah, that's going to be a great matchup. Um, Odysseus says over 10-2 for the Domers. So he says over 9.5. They have an easy schedule. That's a great point. They do. Again, though, I think the one negative that it should be glaring to everybody is they continue to not develop a young quarterback. They keep going to the portal for a 1-year loaner. Not to say that we should throw stones as Buckeye fans, because that's exactly what we're doing. But Notre Dame's kind of making it a habit.
Yeah, I mean, and they got that CJ Carr, right? They got Luke Carr's grandson. I believe
Oh,
he's
that's right.
freshman this
Yeah,
year.
right. I forgot about him.
So they're gonna have that balancing act of, bringing him along as well, to keep him happy. They're gonna have to keep recruiting him. You think it's gonna catch up with him sometime, but at the same time, they're not grabbing a guy that I think is gonna push them towards that national title real discussion.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. They're not getting a what you would call a 5-star transfer portal quarterback. They're getting glue guy, a guy that just holds things together. Hartman did not impress at all. I would say he was a disappointment. We'll see about what's his name, Riley Grimes, but yeah,
Riley Leonard.
thank you. Odysseus says 10-2 for Ole Miss. So looking at the over there. Billy says agree with Jeff, under for Ole Miss. So we got me and Jeff both went under for Ole Miss, actually. Odysseus out there on the island by himself. Odysseus says under for Mizzou, 9-3 or 8-4. I agree with that.
Yeah,
Billy says Texas A&M might fall short this year, but they'll be on the rise under Elko. What do you think? Think
I think
they're
he's a good coach. I mean, I
rebuilding?
think he's a good coach. I mean, but he was at Duke. I mean, he I saw the one game, I saw the whole game of Duke. I saw the Clemson game. And Riley Leonard's a good quarterback. He fought like hell, but they both teams were making god awful game changing plays, to help to keep the other team in it. Clemson just happened to make more mistakes. Um,
Mhm.
Elko, I think he's a good coach, but like I said, that roster, I have no idea what's going on with A&M.
Yeah.
What's the momentum like? What's the atmosphere? What's the culture, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Elko, yeah, I think he'll probably be able to straighten the ship, but it might not be this year.
Yeah, it seems like you're turning around a battleship, not a bass boat, right?
Yeah, and that NIL stuff, who knows what their collective, what all that setup is. What you got a new coach trying to figure all that out, because the donors are big down there, but they seem to be wanting to be very involved.
Mhm.
So it's hard to say. I You give me an over under on A&M, I'll take under on whatever their win total is. But we don't care about A&M. They're not going to be factoring in anything we care about.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Continuing. We do have a rumor we need to get to as far as recruiting goes here in a minute. Just kind of jumping ahead, but Odysseus says 8-4 for Texas A&M, so under there. Odysseus also says another 10-2 year for Penn State. Oh, he goes over the 9.5. Interesting. Expecting, I assume you're expecting Drew Aller to become accurate as a passer?
Yeah, I mean,
Semi-accurate?
picking up Fleming, so they got at least one threat. Their two running backs are going to be better. You would think I could see it. I mean, you could pose. I would listen to an argument of Penn State, losing twice, only twice.
Hmm.
Uh, their defense is always good. Even they send guys into the pros every year, but defense is going to be good. But you can't don't trust Franklin. Nobody should be putting any money with James Franklin and Drew Aller. Save your money, put it somewhere else. Those are two people I will not back or gamble with.
Hmm. Okay. Next up, trying to do some research here quickly. Billy says, "Is Aller still QB?" Question going under. I think you answered your own question there, Billy. Travis says, "OH, Travis. Appreciate you." Billy says, "I could see West Virginia taking them out week 1." Wow. Penn State going down week 1 to West Virginia, Jeff.
Do you remember that game last year when Franklin had to cover? Franklin knows the
Yeah, oh
lines
yeah.
of all those
Oh yeah, he
games.
does. Sure.
But West Virginia hung around a little while. Um, that would be a shot. I mean, that would be a huge upset. Uh, with overall talent wise, I don't know. I don't know anything that West Virginia has coming back, but they didn't have a lot last year. That would be a huge upset.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's all it depends on Aller. Is Aller gonna take or Drew Aller, right? Is how you
Aller.
pronounce it?
Ow.
Aller.
Ow.
Hey, Aller. It's all in what kind of progression he makes. I mean,
Mhm.
if he's slightly improved, then yeah, you look at maybe 8-4, 9-3. If he makes that big leap, if he gets developed right, and yeah, 10-2.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's hard to say. I'm not following them at all, and I'm not paying attention to anything they're doing this spring to have any type of other guess. Uh, I'll just take the guess on the under. I did for them.
Right. I'll get to your question there, Travis. 1 minute. Um, yeah, Odysseus says IO. Billy says IO. Odysseus says under for Bama. The heat turns up on the board already. Yeah, I'm with you there. Odysseus says I could see 7-5. I wouldn't rule that out either. Odysseus says over for Utah. Interesting. Billy says Baylor actually doesn't count as a conference game for Utah because it was scheduled before they joined the Big 12. Okay. So we got
Oh,
some technicalities
wait.
here.
I- Is that I mean, that's guaranteed? Like they're both now in the conference. Whether that game was scheduled, obviously, out of conference matchups, it's probably scheduled 3-4 years ago. But
Yeah.
and only because why? So wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. I thought they would just retroactively that would be considered a
It does
conference
seem
game.
like
Why
it
wouldn't
should
it
be
be?
tough shit, right?
So how many conference games are they got now? I mean, so the Big 12 plays 9, so they actually have 10 conference games, but only 9 of them are going to count towards conference.
That is weird.
Huh.
Uh, yeah, how do you
Never would have thunk it.
determine? Yeah, those auto bids. How does that work out? Sounds like a gray area there that the committee with all their brain power is going to have to figure out. I'm sure they'll come up with a terrible reason. But yeah, that's
Where's
an
the good loss
interesting
at?
point,
Where's the
Billy.
good loss
Thank
at?
you. Yeah, exactly. Odysseus says way under for the cheaters. Could see 6-6. Now I would
You can
pay to
make a
see
play for that.
that. I would bet every game if you could tell me there's a 6-6 in there. But yes, I did already take them on the under 9.5 on the team total.
I
Uh,
nine under 9.5. I think that's easy money. I mean, yeah, there's 3
Yeah.
losses in that schedule with
Yeah.
what they're lost, with what they're coming back with.
They might
That's
hold
3. There's
with under 20, but can they score 20? That's the issue.
right. I
So
tell you what, though, I mean, I would be really impressed. You know, I would be really impressed if they even went 10-2. I would bet, goddamn, how
oh
did they fucking do that? How did
yeah, yeah.
their
Then
their
Sharon
culture or their system? I would that would be real. That would be
Sharon would
I
have
would.
to be like coach of the year candidate.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Definitely going to steal that from Kirk Ferentz in the Big Ten. Billy says Sharon Less is their new coach if he doesn't get sanctioned. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there. Billy says put the mortgage on the under. I'm with you there. I think me and Jeff are both in bed with you, Billy. Not in a weird way. Odysseus says I could see Fresno beating them week 1. Now, another game, I need to see the spread because I would consider betting that, especially if Fresno is like a 21 point dog. Yeah, yeah, give me Fresno all day. Odysseus says Orgy completed 48% of his passes at the high school level. Yeah, for that. What's he done in college? I think it's less. Travis says, I'm late. Have we talked about the rumor that the 5-star wide receiver committed to LSU might flip to Ohio State? Excellent point, Travis. And in my
Nice lead in.
unlimited free time, I just looked it up. Today, DeCorian Moore, current LSU commit, is visiting Ohio State this weekend, this upcoming weekend, not this weekend, not today, next weekend, according to Chad Simmons. Who's
I
Chad
heard that from
Simmons?
Berm as well. I heard that
I
from
don't
Berm
know.
last week.
Okay. So Chad Simmons is like a from Rivals, I
24/7 guy.
believe. I thought he's
Okay.
yeah, doesn't matter.
One of the big services.
Yeah. So yes, he will be visiting and we'll see what happens. He could be that would be the first wide receiver in this class, right? If he flips.
Yeah, because they haven't gotten Jamie French. None of them have committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody verbal yet.
5'11", 175 out of Duncanville, Texas. Number 1 receiver in the class, number 4 player in the class overall. So yeah, I think we would take him. Finishing up the chat here before we roll on out. Travis says, I think the kid's name is Moore. He's a top 5 overall. Yeah. Heard he's scheduled to visit Ohio State. Exactly. You are correct, Travis. Travis says, if the cheaters, defensive tackles, and DBs transfer in the spring portal, they won't make a bowl. I agree with you. 6-6. Well, yeah. 5-7 could very much be in their future. What do you think, Jeff? If the D tackles and the DBs leave, what is left?
I mean, that's where they're most talented in those 2 positions. I mean, take the roster as it is right now. There's a way that you could be at 6-6 with that roster as it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boom!
They got a tough schedule, man, and
4-5.
they're defending national champs. Everybody's up for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna everybody's gonna want to get a piece of them.
Exactly.
So you could, I mean, think about depth. If they have if the quarterbacks struggle or if they have just some minor injuries on key offensive linemen, little things like that can cause major plays and major games.
Yeah.
Drop a
Like
night
we
game
talked
on the road
about over and over, their offense does not have a leg to stand on or to run on. So the defense would be the only thing keeping them in games. And I think we've established if they lose pieces of that,
but
They
they'll have a
are.
good run game. I mean, they're gonna still be able to run the ball.
Maybe. I don't know, man. They
But it's
lost
hard to do
six
that
O
when you're down. If you're
linemen on
if you're
an
down three
offensive line
touchdowns,
that, yeah,
yeah, if
but
you're down three touchdowns, you're not running a lot.
no. And if you start five offensive linemen and you lose six, I don't like your chances next year.
True.
Billy says from undefeated to six losses, that would be fantastic. This could be our wet dream, Jeff.
Yeah.
You don't like thinking about your wet dream?
That was a long time ago.
Okay. Friday night. All right, folks. Hey, we appreciate everybody joining us. Please don't be afraid to hit that like button. We appreciate everybody being in here. I know you guys are all subscribed, so I don't need to beat you over the face, neck, and chest with that. But please hit the like button. We've got a few likes. We've got, it's a quiet Sunday night. About 50 views up to this point. So keep them coming. And we appreciate everybody joining us. Hit thebuckeyecast.com. The video vault is up and running wild. We've got almost 300 videos up there, so please check them out. All your recruiting guys. Decorian Moore, we just talked about, is up there. You can check out his highlights. Then you got your Buckeye legends. I mean, this time of year, all I do is go back and look at condensed games from the last, 40 years. And we have many of those. I'm working on getting all of them up there. We do have a lot of condensed games of the last 3 years, almost the entirety of the regular season. So check it out, thebuckeyecast.com, the video vault. Jeff, appreciate you.
Always, brother.
All right. Everybody have a good week and finish your Sunday strong, as I like to say. In other words, let's go pour a shot. All right. Talk to you later.
All good. Cheers, bro.
Go Bucks.